Randolph Scott, born George Randolph Scott on January 23, 1898, in Orange County, Virginia, remains one of Hollywood's most iconic actors, particularly known for his roles in Western films. His career spanned from the silent film era to the late 1960s, earning him a reputation as the quintessential cowboy hero. Scott's strong and stoic persona on screen reflected the ideals of masculinity, honor, and individualism that were emblematic of American culture at the time. Despite his fame and enduring legacy, much of Scott's personal life remained shrouded in mystery. To his fans, he was the silent, rugged hero who represented the very essence of the American frontier. But behind the scenes, there was a man who lived a much more complex life, one that only came to light after his death. Early life and military service. Scott grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, in a well-to-do family. His father, George Grant Scott, was a certified public accountant, and his mother, Lucille Crane Scott, was a homemaker. With access to a good education and a comfortable upbringing, Randolph was given opportunities that many of his peers did not have. He attended private schools and enrolled at Georgia Institute of Technology, where he initially pursued engineering. However, the outbreak of World War I interrupted his academic journey. Scott enlisted in the U.S. Army, serving in France as part of the 2nd Trench Mortar Battalion. While he did not see heavy combat, the experience helped shape his character, instilling in him a sense of discipline and patriotism that would later inform his many roles in Western films. Pursuit of Hollywood dreams. After World War I, Scott returned to North Carolina, but soon grew restless. The burgeoning film industry in Hollywood called to him, and with his father's encouragement, he moved to California to pursue acting. Scott enrolled in acting classes and started working as an extra in silent films. His tall, athletic frame and natural charm quickly drew the attention of casting agents. His breakthrough came when he met legendary director Cecil B. DeMille, who cast him in several supporting roles. This collaboration helped Scott gain visibility, and he soon began to secure more prominent parts. His early roles in films like The Virginia, 1929, and The Last Roundup, 1934, marked the beginning of what would become a long and successful career in Hollywood. Rise to stardom in the 1930s and 1940s, Randolph Scott's rise to fame truly took off in the 1930s and 1940s, when he became one of Hollywood's most beloved Western stars. His commanding presence, rugged good looks, and natural cowboy demeanor made him a perfect fit for the genre. Films like Last of the Mohicans, 1936, Jesse James, 1939, and Western Union, 1941, solidified Scott's place as one of the most popular actors of his time. His portrayal of stoic, morally complex characters set him apart from other Western stars, who often played more one-dimensional roles. Scott's ability to bring depth to his characters made him relatable to audiences, as his roles reflected the values of hard work, perseverance, and honesty. Collaborations with Bud Boudicher, the 1950s marked a pivotal point in Scott's career as he began working with director Bud Boudicher. Their collaboration produced a series of Western films that are now regarded as some of the best in the genre. These films, often referred to as the Renowned Cycle, after the production company formed by Scott and producer Harry Joe Brown, included classics such as 7 Men from Now, 1956, The Tall T, 1957, and Ride Lonesome, 1959. These films focused on lean, character-driven stories that explored themes like revenge, redemption, and the harsh realities of life in the Old West. Scott's performances in these films were among the best of his career, showcasing his ability to portray more mature, world-weary characters dealing with moral dilemmas. Private life and relationships. While Scott's on-screen persona was that of a solitary, rugged cowboy, his personal life was far more private and stable. In 1936, he married Marion DuPont, the daughter of a wealthy industrialist. However, the marriage ended in divorce just 3 years later. In 1944, he married Patricia Stillman, and their union lasted until Scott's death in 1987. Together, they adopted 2 children, Sandra and Christopher, and lived a quiet, family-centered life in Beverly Hills. Despite being one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces, Scott was known for his discretion, avoiding public scandals and tabloid attention. His personal life was largely free from controversy, and he was described by those who knew him as humble, soft-spoken, and devoted to his faith and family. Retirement and quiet life. Scott retired from acting in 1962 after appearing in Ride the High Country, a film that many consider to be one of the greatest westerns ever made. After his retirement, Scott largely withdrew from the public eye, choosing to lead a peaceful life in Southern California. He remained active in his community, participating in charity golf tournaments and supporting causes related to his Christian faith. Scott's retirement was marked by a preference for simplicity. He spent much of his time playing golf, enjoying his family, and managing his business interests. He never sought fame or attention after leaving Hollywood, instead embracing the quiet life that he had earned after more than 30 years in the entertainment industry. The Secret Life of Randolph Scott, a revealing note. In a surprising twist, a handwritten note left behind by Randolph Scott after his death in 1987 provided a rare glimpse into the man behind the public image. For decades, Scott was known as the stoic, rugged cowboy, the embodiment of masculinity and honor in Hollywood. However, the contents of his note revealed a much more complex and emotionally nuanced individual. In the note, Scott confessed to a deep sense of loneliness that had followed him throughout his life. Despite his fame and the adoration of fans, he struggled with isolation, hinting at the emotional walls he had built around himself to protect his private life from the public's prying eyes. Unspoken regrets and missed connections. The note also touched on the complexities of Scott's personal relationships, particularly his friendship with fellow actor Cary Grant. Scott and Grant were rumored to have shared a close, possibly romantic bond, but neither ever publicly addressed the nature of their relationship. In the note, Scott alluded to missed opportunities for emotional connection and expressed remorse for not being more open about who he truly was. He seemed to acknowledge that the public persona he had cultivated for so long had prevented him from living an authentic life. Although Scott did not explicitly discuss his sexuality, his note suggested that he had carried the burden of secrecy for much of his life. The relationship with Cary Grant. The nature of Scott's relationship with Cary Grant has been the subject of much speculation over the years. The two actors were known to have lived together in a beachfront home in Malibu, and rumors about their relationship have persisted in Hollywood lore. Scott's note, while not explicitly addressing these rumors, hinted at the emotional complexities of their bond. For many, the relationship between Scott and Grant has come to symbolize the hidden struggles of actors from that era, who often had to live in the shadows of Hollywood's rigid gender norms and societal expectations. The note provided a rare insight into a life that was largely kept behind closed doors, shedding light on a man who, despite his public image, longed for connection and acceptance. Reevaluating Randolph Scott's legacy. The revelation of Randolph Scott's note has forced a reevaluation of his legacy. For decades, he was viewed as the epitome of the Western hero, silent, strong, and stoic. But the note revealed that Scott's true self was far more complicated. It showed that beneath the image of the tough cowboy, Scott was a man who wrestled with loneliness, regret, and the emotional toll of living up to an ideal. This newfound understanding of Scott has prompted a broader conversation about the pressures faced by actors of his era, particularly in a time when Hollywood demanded conformity and often penalized those who deviated from societal norms. Scott's final confession has added layers to his legacy, reminding us that even the strongest of men can experience vulnerability and self-doubt. The human cost of fame. Randolph Scott's note also serves as a poignant reminder of the human cost of fame. In an industry where personal lives were often scrutinized and exploited, Scott's ability to maintain his privacy for so long is both admirable and tragic. His note highlighted the emotional burden that many actors of his era carried, living a life dictated by public expectations while struggling to remain true to themselves. For Scott, this conflict ultimately led to a sense of isolation and emotional pain that he could not fully express until his death. His story is a powerful testament to the challenges faced by those who lived in the limelight, and a reminder that fame does not always equate to happiness or fulfillment. A final act of honesty. In the end, Randolph Scott's note can be seen as his final act of honesty. It was a deeply personal revelation that allowed him to share his truth with those closest to him. While his public persona had always been that of a strong, silent cowboy, the note showed that Scott had a more vulnerable side, one that was often hidden from the world. By sharing his struggles, regrets, and longing for connection, Scott allowed his family, friends, and fans to see him as a fully realized person, not just the cowboy hero they had admired on screen. The note serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of authenticity and the courage it takes to live one's truth, even when the world expects something different.